it took me a lot of studying, and then me closing my laptop and saying, okay, it is real. It's right there. I just got to put in the work and the action.
Yeah.
Once I did that and I committed, you got to commit. That's really what it is, man. You just got to go in there, commit, say, hey, man, this is my goal, and I'm doing it.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Creating Wealth Podcast, where I, Kyle, from Curtin Real Estate, interview local top dogs in the real estate investing, wealth building, and personal finance industries. Let's build together. What's up, guys? You are going to absolutely love this week's guest on the show. Kingsley has made a game-changing impact on his life and the lives of others from real estate investing, and is someone extremely inspiring to listen to and chat with. He went all in on real estate from the W-2 world in a really short amount of time, and has an absolutely killer story full of topics like committing to taking action, having that sense of urgency, creating balance, and so much more. I hope you enjoy, and let's jump right into the episode. What's up, guys? Welcome to episode 70 of the Creating Wealth Podcast. Today, we get the great pleasure of chatting with Nnamdi Kingsley Okwerekwu, an absolutely amazing flipper and wholesaler and investment-focused agent on the Candor team. What's going on, Kingsley? How are you, my man? I'm very excited to have you on.
I'm doing well. It's an honor to be here. I've seen it all over social media. I'm there, and I'm like, man, I feel famous just being a part of this, man. So,
you're too kind, man.
man. I love what you're doing, man. I'm honored, actually.
Thank you so much, man. It means a lot. So to kind of jump right into things, man, what's kind of like your backstory? Like what got you into real estate? Like, tell us a little bit about you.
Absolutely.
Let's jump right in.
Do it, man. Yeah, man. So born and raised in Boston, Massachusetts. Grew up here in Boston. Got the great pleasure to go to a school called it was an all boys school in Nita, Massachusetts, called St. Sebastian's, the Catholic school. From there, I went to Boston University and graduated I can't say last year anymore. It's a new year, so 2 years ago in 2020, and right in the middle of the pandemic and everything. And from there, in that school, I graduated from the business school with a focus in real estate. And at that point, I got a job in commercial real estate, which I wasn't too crazy about over time. And I kind of found out that I think my real passion lies in residential real estate, and kind of, getting my hands dirty right away, taking the risk, trying to flip, trying to wholesale, trying to acquire property, and going right to it. Rather than maybe on the commercial side, you probably can, but it takes maybe a little slower, or a lot more capital, a lot more partner. It takes some time, a lot more knowledge as well. But I wanted to kind of just go all in, and so that was something that was big for me. And so from there, at that point, while on the side, I tried to actively wholesale. I thought that was going to be the best method. Didn't have a crazy amount of capital or anything until I found my first couple of deals and ended up making some magic out of them. And so we'll talk all about that and that too. But really the desire is, or really the importance is, I was very important. It was very important for me, and I was very intentional about, having a definite desire, and acquiring wealth, as fast as I can. Honestly, I always feel like more people should say this out loud, but I want to be rich, and I don't want to wait. I really don't. Sue me. Oh, well, blah, blah, blah. I want to be rich right now. So I'm just always trying to do anything that I can and learn that. And real estate is going to be a phenomenal vehicle for that. It's just it's a great vehicle for that for a billion ways. So that's kind of the story, man.
I totally agree, man. I absolutely love that. Desire is everything.
Absolutely.
So yeah, man. So what kind of, got you started in like, I know you said like you went to like college, with like a focus in like real estate and stuff like that, kind of jumped into the commercial world a little bit. So what kind of started you off with like the wholesaling, kind of idea, like, oh, like, I guess what kind of, came about that you're like, oh, like, I really like that concept. Like, let's give it a try. And what kind of got you started there?
Absolutely. I mean, with real estate, I knew I wanted to be in real estate all around it. I wanted to learn more about residential. And so I wanted to at least try to do something where, I could have maybe a job that was focused all around it. So I literally looked at, I had the idea of being maybe like a loan officer. I was looking for some kind of W-2 job or something, like maybe something like that, or like I don't know, working in an office, or maybe like working in like John's office or something, with a, in a real estate office agency, being maybe an admin or something. I thought about all these things. And then as I started to do my research online, I saw a lot of information about wholesaling and how quickly you can make money. You literally you can make $10,000 or $15,000 in 30 days. If you do it right, or if you just have just the right amount of luck. And so yeah, like seeing those kind of things and seeing how quickly I could do that, and then also like watching things on the internet and seeing people come on to shows like this and talk about their stories over and over again. And I was like, oh my, like this is a real thing. Like everyone is kind of like doing this. And then months would go by, and I would keep watching all those videos of people saying, hey, last month I was watching your videos, and then now I did it. And now I'm like, oh my God, I'm just watching people's videos for months and I'm not doing it. I'm just like, oh man, I gotta take some kind of action, And so that was kind of what got me into it. And I think it may have it took me about 8 months since I started trying to actually get my actual first like check or make money in real estate. So it wasn't quite 30 days, but 8 months not bad either, to get a fat check from your side hustle, So that was something that that's kind of that's what really intrigued me about the idea of wholesaling or flipping, just the ability to make good money fast.
Yeah, I absolutely love that, man. And like, I really love, like the way that like that happened. Like you found out about this, like, you saw, the amount of people that, were doing this successfully and like making all this money and everything. And like, saw that like this was like a real, like, tangible thing that you can do. And then also, having like the self-awareness, like to just be like, oh, like, I've been watching this for a while. Like all these guys are doing it. Like, I want to do this too. Like, let's go, and like, let's try it out. Let's get started. And especially too, man, like to see it through, for months and months, and just keep working at it, and keep looking at the light at the end of the tunnel. And,
right.
And eventually it definitely was worth your while.
For sure, man. It's working out. And it's funny because like after maybe month 3 or 4, I was starting to get uncertain about the whole thing, and like, oh, man, it's a skill set for me. Like I know it's possible, but like is this right for my situation? Should I be thinking about something else? But I made a commitment to myself, though, for sure. I said, you know what? Even if this is not for me, or even if I'm not going to do this for a while, or maybe real estate as a whole, maybe I'm a stock guy or something, but maybe real estate or whatever, I'm at least going to commit to doing one deal. God damn it. Like there's too many people, like it's too real of a thing. Like I don't want to, if I put in all these months in, I couldn't blame anybody else for, I guess, failing but me. And so that was one thing that I knew for sure. I said, you know what? If anything, even if this is my first deal, is my last deal, like let me just go out there and put everything to getting my first deal, just so I can say I didn't quit, and then I guess quit after it or something, and maybe pivot. But fortunately, I think I like the space a lot, and I think there's a lot of potential for me to do some big things, man.
Yeah, that's absolutely insane, man. Like the amount of people that like can push through something for that long is like slim to none. Like there's like a huge lesson, to be learned from that. Like that, like you might start like a new business or like a new side hustle or something like that. And like, you might not see the gratification until like, way down the line, but like to be able to harness, that, I don't know what to call it. I guess like just believing in that idea. And like you said, like even if, you got to your first deal, got it done, and like, that was it. like you did it, man. You know what I mean? Like you pushed through all that stuff, did it, and then, you know, maybe like try something else or whatever, but like you saw it through and believed in yourself and totally crushed it, man.
Yeah, man. Appreciate it, dog. Appreciate it. I'm looking forward to get it rolling, get the momentum going.
You know, and I bet after seeing that first check, you're like, all right, man, I'm gonna keep this going. We're not stopping.
Oh, yeah. Man, I got stories about all those situations.
Yeah. No, it's totally crazy, man. And I know, you know, we were talking a while back about like Brent Daniels and like, you know, his like YouTube channel and stuff like that. And like even, you know, just like listening, you know, to people like that and stuff that are doing like these huge deals and like teaching you like, you know, different ways of like how to have a conversation and like, you know, take you know, like not taking no for an answer kind of thing and just kind of, you know, figuring out that world of you know, kind of going at the business from like a cold calling kind of point of view. And it's nuts.
Sure. Dude, like TTP and all those resources, those things were what got me my first deal, you know, like I probably learned, I would say I learned like maybe 80 to or 90% of like all the tactical things about real estate, like on the internet. And really through YouTube videos, really like for me, that's what I like to watch. And then maybe like I would accredit maybe like 10% of that stuff to like mindset that I got from like books. And of course, what I should have mentioned in the bio, or not in the bio, but in the intro here was Rich Dad Poor Dad. You know, I read that. You know, I read that a couple of years ago, and that, of course, started everything too. You know, I am guilty. I'm one of those people who I read Rich Dad Poor Dad, and everything changed. You know,
yeah, I feel you, man. I'm actually I try and read it like at least once every year, like just to like brush up on it a little bit and like just kind of make sure, like, you know, still kind of like bring some of those ideas into fruition again for a little bit. And yeah, no, it's that's one of the things that I really love about real estate and like businessman is like the amount that you can absorb, at least, I mean, I would say more or less in today's day and age is like totally up to you. Like, I know, you know, we were talking a little bit before the podcast about, you know, like listening to podcasts and stuff like that. And like, you know, like Brent Daniels, like we were just saying, and like, you know, some other people like that. Like there are so many different resources out there. Like it's unbelievable. And like it turns into that, like, you know, talking about the desire, like we were talking about earlier, like how bad is your desire? Like how bad do you want this? You know, and like, because the resources are there. Like the internet's, you know, this absolutely insane place nowadays. And like books and podcasts like are free. Like, you know, like Biggerpockets articles and like asking people questions and YouTube, like most of this stuff is free, guys. And like, you know, like it turns into like a how bad do you want it kind of thing. And, you know, like how fast do you want to learn this knowledge?
Absolutely. I think it's really two main factors. Like, I mean, really, I guess it's really two things come to mind when I hear that. Like one is, you know, in this day and age where we're in the age of information, it's now we're kind of entering the age of over information now, where it's like the fact like that there's too much and you don't know where to focus, right? You don't know which person to listen to. You're listening to 5 people talk about cold calling in 5 different ways, and you're like, oh my God, this is so hard, even though all the ways work and whatnot. But you know, with all the information, it's counterintuitive to the way that really our education system teaches us. Like, you know, when you go before you go and you take a test and you go into that moment, you know, you're supposed to study and try to get an A and memorize whatever. In the world of business and real estate and doing it, man, you don't have time to. That's the way you learn best is by taking the test over and over again and failing and failing and failing and going, rather than just trying to study all before, because, you know, months will go by and you'll be like, oh man, everybody out here is making money except for me, you know?
Yeah.
So that's literally like, there's that. But like the second thing, you know, so like one, we're in the information age, but then the second thing, like you mentioned, is desire, you know, and I'll even take it a step further and really go down to like that sense of urgency, you know. That is something where, you can kind of get people to maybe realize a sense of urgency, maybe, or maybe you can uncover it with someone. But oftentimes it's something you can't necessarily teach. It's kind of something like, man, maybe there's some underlying reasons or something happened in this person's life where now they're like, they're ready to go. Or they're just not in that type of situation, like where, they can learn all this, but because there's no sense of urgency, they just continue to be entertained by the information or stuff like that. Like, but with me, man, I got a whole bunch of reasons and a whole bunch of whys and everything. And I set goals. Like, man, I set a goal. Like, dude, I gotta get it now, man. I gotta get it yesterday. I gotta get it yesterday. And when I see other people doing it too, and I'm like, man, dude, I got to get going. So having that sense of urgency is something I've always kind of had year to year. Really, as I've grown up, being a young adult, even a teenager, the natural kind of hustler spirit in me. But that sense of urgency is something that I wish more people would realize is kind of a thing. Because once you have a sense of urgency and once you kind of put in your head like, hey man, I have to get a deal in the next 60 days, like because of something, whether it's real or it's something you create in your own head just to make you go, you've got to create something, because that's just going to lead you through there. You'll break through the barriers if you have a deadline or something, or if you have that big why, and time is of the essence.
I absolutely love that, man. It's so true. Like, like once you like attach a deadline, or like, especially like the why in particular, like, there was one thing I got it from, it was like a Dean Graziosi book, but I think I'm not sure who actually came up with it, but like it's something that has really like hit me different since I kind of read about it, and it was like how to find your why, like quote unquote, because like you have to dig pretty deep for that. And like basically like the way that this thing starts off is asking like, oh, like why did you get up today? And then you only can answer that with like, starting off the next answer with like, oh, like I got up today because. And then like, I got up to go to work. Like, oh, well, why did you get up to go to work? Because I'm trying to get a paycheck to do X. Well, why do you want a paycheck to do X? And like, you just keep digging. And like in the book, it was saying to go like 7 levels deep. So ask that same kind of like, question like back into itself like 7 times. And then like, or, just keep going until you feel it, until like it hits you in a different place. And it's like, dude, like, and like it turns into like this really, really deep reason. And then like, once you start to think about something like that, it definitely tapped into that, kind of sense of urgency. Like, damn, man, like this is a deep reason. Like we got to get this, like, and yeah,
of like, gives you like, I guess it's like closer to like realizing your purpose and whatnot. Like I'm a big journal guy as well. I got journals everywhere, and like, now I'm gonna like, this is one that John had given to me, and and I got like the 5-minute journal. It's like a Tim Ferriss thing that has a bunch of questions in there too. But I'm literally gonna write down for me to do tomorrow the 7 whys. I'm gonna go deeper and deeper.
It's cool, man. Sorry.
I said I like that idea.
It's one of those things where like it's just like a self-reflection kind of thing, and like you just kind of have to be like in your own place, and like nobody like interfering or anything, and like just kind of, because like it'll start to get deep, like the digger, or the deeper you go, the deeper you dig. And eventually like you might get to a place where it's like, oh damn, like that's so that's the reason that like I want all this.
That's right. That's right. And one thing we also said in the beginning too, I guess like the type of stuff, you always gotta, I guess, even in a whole intro, I've gotta, I guess let them know why they should even listen to me or what I've done so far. But yeah, like, I just remember, so, I actually wish I said earlier, but, as a flipper and wholesaler, really in the last 3 months, or not 3 months, in the last 8 months, or really my first, you can say first full year of real estate. Dude, and I'm happy to say this because I actually have a closing tomorrow.
Let's go.
And everything closes, bro. Like, it's so nuts to me to say, but within less than my first 12 months of real estate, that I'm gonna make $200,000.
Dude, get out of here. What?
It is absolutely nuts.
The hustle, man. Oh my God.
And it's funny because of this last deal that I'm working on now, I estimated in my rough calculation, I was like, oh, I'm gonna profit like 85 to like 90. And like I saw the closing disclosure, like because I'm closing tomorrow, I saw it yesterday, and it's like 130, dude. And I said, Jesus Christ. I did the math wrong, and like I was overestimating closing. I was just being super, you know how it is, man.
Yeah.
Like, I was being super cautious about everything, and like that's kind of what's going on. So I hope it closes. I mean, do fingers crossed. Like, I think we're good. I would probably say it's like a 96, 97% chance you close, and then we'll see. So but nothing closes until it closes at this
Right.
point.
Dude, that's absolutely insane. Like that's real shit. Like
crazy, dude. And like, dude, for the first many months, dude, I didn't make anything, but it's really been like a journey of like, at the end of the day, really, I mean, the results are there, but like what's behind all that is like all the habits I've formed and like the processes I've created and like all the work that I've been like putting into myself and the discipline and the consistency that I'm always trying to practice. I'm not perfect by any means, but like, I actually have a quote up there in the back, and it's by Aristotle, and it's, "We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, therefore, is not an act, but a habit."
Dude, I love that. That's awesome.
So that's what I'm about, dude.
That's
I'm just
perfect.
It's really about the habits and the process.
That's absolutely perfect, man. Oh my God.
Thank you, man, dude. I'm psyched, but we'll see, man. Like that, I got to throw a lot more. With me, it's just about one. Taxes are gonna come soon. I'm like, oh my God, I don't even. I'm not excited for that. But
I hear you, man.
That'll be fun, right? But it'll be that, and throwing a bunch of that money back into the business. And then 3, like doing my best to like control whether it's my ego or control like my desires to go spend money. Like, like when this type of money comes in, like, dude, I've had my dream cars that I can afford and I can pay in cash now. I've always wanted. I'm like, dude, like, like you do that and you just, you need the money for marketing and then also for this and for these trips and for these events and for this or for whatever. And it's like, dude, you're right. Like, and then there's taxes too and all this stuff. So it's like, all right, it's a lot of money, not rich yet or anything, but you gotta stay disciplined and stay down, man. So that's my challenge every time any kind of check comes in. It's like, all right, dude, stay calm. And I literally write in my journal, like, dude, like, remember, you gotta stay down, do everything you can, live below your means, and go out there and the more you do that, then the more you'll kill it. So yeah, it's a challenge, man.
I absolutely love that, man. And that's a really good problem to have, and like, just like, especially with that, like, this was something that I kind of forgot about it a minute ago, but it came back, was like you were saying, like all this work and everything, like the rewards have come in, like you've seen the fruits of your labor, a couple times, but like you were saying too, like that, that is there, but it's also the journey of, like you were saying, like all the habits you've established, like, maybe like bad habits, like you might have dropped in the process, like we're picking up like much better ones, and like your development as like a, like really crazy, like businessman, and like, you know what I mean, man? Like it's so much bigger than just the money, you know what I mean? Like the money's there and everything, but like it's the journey, Absolutely. And even like what you said a minute ago was like, just to make sure, like you're staying like level-headed and everything, and like, but also I think, would you say there's maybe like a balance to it? To like, make sure like you kind of reward yourself like a little bit, for like working all that hard, but like still staying like, what are kind of your thoughts on that?
Of course. I mean, the couple of weeks after closing is when my credit cards goes up. My credit card, all my credit card expenses, everything goes up, and I'm looking forward to that. Absolutely. Yeah. The second it closes, I'm buying a whole bunch of things. I'm planning my trips, like whatever and everything. Hell of course. But of course, still at a good ratio enough where I'm not going broke or I'm not killing myself, and I still have plenty enough for reserves and plenty enough for the business and to create systems. But absolutely, man, I absolutely believe in that balance. I think it's, when I think about the idea of balance and trying to, it's always hard to get to achieve balance. Like some people say it doesn't exist, and I get that. And I guess I kind of agree too. It's kind of, I don't think you ever get that perfect balance, but I can tell you for sure, like if you're pouring 100% of your time, money, energy, and effort into your business, and you're not doing enough you're going to end up not doing enough for maybe your family, or not doing enough for your health, or not doing enough for your friends and your relationships, or for other things that that you naturally really desire to do. And it's the same thing with everything else. If if all you do is if you become maybe a gym freak, and all you do is a gym, and you're going to the gym for 2-3 hours a day, and then you're watching videos for hours a day on gym and stuff. That's great. It's gonna be healthy stuff, but how are you doing on the business side, or the business side, I guess? Or is it your spiritual life, or is it your family time? Is it your relationships with the people, right? Or if you're spending all day with friends, all right, that's great, and you got to have some type of balance there too. But then, oh man, what about your job? Or, what about all these things? So it's always important to keep that, try to put effort in all of those things, and to stay disciplined enough to plan out, and to be aware enough to like work for all those things, and put energy towards those. But yeah, man, balance is important.
I absolutely love that, man. You're totally right. Like it's a really tough thing to try to like nail down. And like, I'm definitely still figuring out the ropes with that kind of thing. Like, just like balancing, like, like everything that I'm trying to do over time, and like, friendships and family, and like, trying not to like, basically like drop the ball on any of those, and like just try to, like, it's tough, and I totally agree with you, man, and like just trying to, spend time like with everybody that you care about and stuff, but also, get done like the business stuff that like you're committed to. And like, it's a hard thing to kind of figure out. And like, it probably takes time, you know what I mean? To just kind of see like maybe like what your limits are for each thing. And yeah, it's a little bit tough.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like that's one of the things, is one of the situations where it's like sweeping up dusty floors. Like, you'll clean it up and a day or two later, you got to go and bring the broom up again, clean it up, and keep going and cleaning it up, and brushing up on your things, brushing up on all of those things. And it's something that I don't think ever really kind of stops, so all you could, especially while we're young, man, like these are some very, very transformative periods of our lives, like your 20s, your late teens, your early 30s, some incredibly transformative periods of your life. We're not exactly sure where we're going to be in 5 years, maybe, whereas maybe when you're 50 or 55, you may know, I'll probably be in the same town or whatever. Like, in 5 years, dude, I don't even know what I'll be doing really.
No idea.
Yeah. So it's like, I don't know who I'll be. Will I be married? Oh, I haven't even thought about this far yet. So it's like, versus, when you're 50 and 60 is a little more consistency, but during these transformative periods of our lives, like, and that's where it gets challenging to have all those balances, because so many things are changing. So many other people's lives around you are changing. But you're trying to do your best, and you're trying to stay grounded and driven. So it's something that you kind of just got to keep brushing up on, keep sweeping the floor on, and refreshing yourself up, and trying to grow daily, man.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree, man. I really like that analogy about the sweeping the floors too. I've never heard that before. I love that.
That's right.
Yeah, like that's something that's really cool, man, is like, especially, like while we're on like the younger side of things, and, like life in general and stuff, like the amount of, I guess, I don't know, like, I guess like the X variable for like, how crazy things can change, like in one direction or another, even like a week or like a month from now or something like that. Like, all of a sudden, like it could be in like Massachusetts, and like, there's some crazy stuff going on in Nevada, and you're like, all right, like, and like, it's like, we don't know. You're right. Like, you could be married in 5 years. Like, who knows, man? Like we don't know, like everything's like just changing so fast. And like, who knows? Like, like you might like build up, like this real estate thing now, and then, in the next couple of years or something, like delegate everything and like completely step out of it. And now you're looking to buy like a McDonald's franchise or something, and like a whole different world, like we don't know. And I think it's super cool.
Yeah, man. Like, I mean, even with me, I can't even, I kind of have a goal set for this year, but outside of this year, like, I can't think
Right.
past that. It's already hard for me to think of. I mean, to really think about. Oh, but in September, I want to be doing this, and it's already kind of far from now.
Yeah.
But after, my big goal is trying to like kind of scale this business, so wholesaling or flipping business, and once it's scaled, like I would hope to delegate, as much as I can, and then probably move up to another type of business, because I do know that like business and creative things are something that's always kind of like a part of me, and something that's going to keep going for sure. But that's really my challenge. When I'm fulfilled is when I have this scaled and processed, and processes in place. Like that's when I'm going to really feel like accomplished. Like the money is cool and is rewarding and is showing me like, hey man, you're doing something good. But once I become more and more proud of my processes that I put in place. So that's kind of like the big challenge. And so we'll see how that goes over this next year.
Yeah, 100%, man. The process is everything. And like I think it's kind of cool, like especially for what you're doing, like just to be able to kind of see like the gradual steps of like getting those processes built and like implementing them and like like stepping away like very slowly and just kind of like looking back at like what you've built and like you're like, man, like I made this process and like this person uses it and like I created this, and
It's
yeah,
crazy. It was dope. Like right before this call, like, I mean, man, I never, I mean, man, it's funny, man. Before I quit my job in September. And after I started having some success here, after a $70,000 deal, after that, I was like, dude, I'm gone. I
yeah,
was out.
peace.
Dude, I tried for the first, I literally, it was like a week later. I tried to keep my calm and whatever. But the second that it was, I remember it was a Friday and I was having a meeting with my manager and she talked to me just a little snappy, just a little, and dude, I was done. I was done. The
Yeah.
next day I sent an email quitting. I was like with my boys and I'm like, dude, I'm gonna quit when I get in there on Monday. And they're like, no, you won't. Dude, you
Do
won't.
it now, bro.
And I said, oh, you think I want? So I'll do it now. And they said, you won't. I don't believe it. I said, I'll do it right now. Like, how do you quit? Like, what do you do? Like,
Yeah, look at Googling it. And
yeah, right. And I go in and I send off an email. And I'm just there, like, is subject to. He told me like, oh, email your manager. I said, all right. I emailed her, and I put right there in the comment, the subject was 2-week notice, and it was just hi. I'm submitting my 2-week notice. Like, let me know if you need any information to help this process or whatever. That was it. That was like literally it. And then I was like, boom. I didn't tell anyone. I like outside of the people in that room at that time, like I didn't plan it. Nobody knew. It was one of the most freeing things of my life.
I
really.
bet, man. Yeah. That's savage, man. That's I love that. I love that so much, man. Like I remember like the first time that you were talking about it, like a couple months back, like, dude, like the amount that this guy like just believes in everything that he's doing, like that's something that like doesn't come around often. Like that's like real stuff. Like,
yeah, man, for sure. Like, and with me, like I like to say, like, a lot of that kind of belief, not just in myself, but even just kind of in the game that I'm playing in the whole wholesaling and real estate game, man. It took a lot of, I guess I would say maybe I probably underestimated the amount of research and the amount of like work I do. I do it pretty fast. Like I read about like $3 a month, and I'm always on YouTube, just like going like running through like real estate content, especially in the beginning. But like it took me a lot of studying, and then me closing my laptop and saying, okay, it is real. It's right there. I just got to put in the work and the action. Once I did that and I committed, you got to commit. That's really what it is, man. You just got to go in there, commit, say, hey, man, this is my goal, and I'm doing it. And not everyone's going to like it. You might look crazy to a lot of people, but if you got that goal, man, locked in. And I just spent so much time, like, man, I used to, man, during the 9 to 5, man, I used to wake up at like 4 or 5, man, go look at like properties, go drive for dollars for like 4 hours in the morning. And property, every home I was looking at was out an hour away from me, because I was in Boston. Everything's too expensive for me to do my first flip or whatever. So, I was going an hour away every direction, and I would leave at like 4 a.m. I would come to properties at like after work. I would go look at properties. I would go driving for dollars was a big thing. I'd be calling sellers, trying to call sellers while on the job. All these things, So like it was something that was like a hustle. And once I was able to finally get that check, man, I decided to go all the way in. Don't care what anyone tells me. Just go in there, set the goals, man, and just go get it. So that's what I'm doing, man. I'm excited. I'm excited about it.
That's the hustle, man. Oh my God.
Sure, man. That's what it's about every day. And it's funny because like right before this call, I was mentioning like when I talked about the systems and processes, like I was like, dude, now I have assistants. Like I have virtual assistants. Like, dude, I remember when I had my job, I kept saying like, man, like, it's so frustrating. I don't like how management is, how they run things, certain personalities, certain way, how they treat people, whatever. And I remember saying like, man, I don't know when I'm going to be a boss or if I even want to or whatever. But if I do and that opportunity comes, I'm going to be the best one ever. And I knew that. I'm going to treat people with respect. I'm going to have fun. I'm going to be flexible. I'm going to show love. I'm going to show people that I care. And now, dude, I have 3 VAs now, actually.
3 now? Let's go.
Man, I got 3 now working full time for me. And right before this, I had 2 of them. Like I had them on a call, and I just said, like, I'm usually role play with them, and I like they're actually, one of them is a full time admin, and the other one's a cold caller. But the full time admin is trying to get into cold calling now too. As I'm, I've done role playing with them and call reviews with them. I actually gone over the calls. But this time I said, all right, guys, I gotta get ready for this call soon. But here, why don't you guys go ahead and for the next 20 minutes, you guys just role play. I'm gonna watch how you guys role play, and I'll just be here. I'll turn my camera off. I'll mute myself, and I'll just be watching. Go.
Watch. Yeah.
And they had a good time. They were having a blast. Like, and it's just great. Role playing is always fun and funny. And so I was there, kind of throwing in my lines, and my jokes were away. But at the same time, they were being super productive. And I was sitting back. I'm like, dude, man, I'm starting to automate some of this stuff, man. Like I'm watching them like train for the sellers, man. And I'm watching them, like, I gave them a list of like I created like a list of 30 objections that they'll get in the first 5 to 10 seconds of a cold call. And I'm like, all right, guys, just go practice these ones. Practice the first 5 to 10 seconds. Go. And you can see them, whether it's like, who is this, or what, or no, this is Gene. Who's Carla? All these things, and I gave them like responses for all of them, And it's just great to see them just churning them out. So we'll see how they do out when I'll review the calls later. But it's just great, man, to see, and also to see them smiling and thinking like, man, I'm actually like I'm in a, like, I don't know if employer is the technical governor,
a leader.
Yeah, I'm a leader or whatever. But I'm like, man, like I'm actually helping like them and helping them feed their families and everything, and they're like happy to be here. It was just great to see them smiling and having a good time. I was so proud, man. And I just look forward to like maybe on a bigger scale doing that with more and more people, just being able to impact lives positively, man. It's great.
Yeah, that's a really, really good point, man. And like, especially from being in that, previously being in that like corporate W-2 setting where you weren't really the biggest fan of management. I'm sure, all of us can kind of, to some degree, see where you're coming from. But, and just be like, oh, like, if and when, like I'm a boss, I'm a leader someday, like what, whatever, like your path takes you and stuff, like I don't want to be like, like the guy that was treating me like crap. Like I want to make sure that these guys are taken care of and like be the boss that I never had.
That's right.
And like you were saying a minute ago, like, to see these people like that are helping you out, like smiling and like having a good time, and like everybody's like growing, and like you're totally right. Like that's something that like people don't really think about often. It definitely didn't cross my mind until you said it. Is like, there's like a really mutual thing there, and like you could literally be putting food on these people's tables, and like, yeah, like that's like real stuff. Like it's past like just, the transactional like business. Like you could be like really impacting these people's lives, man. Like you could be like buying these people's kids like Christmas presents, man. You know what I mean? Like, like that's some shit.
Dude, man. I mean, man, my PAs, man, especially with my admin who I've had for, I guess the longest now, it's going to be about 3 months now. But man, together we have laughed, we have sang, we have cried, lit like man, like it's been, dude, it's been a roller coaster already within the first few months, dude. There's been so many emotions, but like overall the time, like man, like real relationships developing and a real team and a real sense of like camaraderie and all focused towards a mission. But yeah, man, like I remember interviewing them and remember telling them like, hey, what would a full-time position here mean to you? And I mean, I remember them telling me like, oh man, this means everything. I remember her literally telling me, you pay me, I go and I use that money and I spend it for my kids. She said, I don't. She's like, I'm the breadwinner in the family. Father's not around. All these type of things, and it's like, this is the main source of income for all of that. And so it's like, man, like, dude, I'm trying to, like, okay, this is, at this point, it's kind of bigger than me. And now, from a discipline point and accountability point, like, man, like, I have no job. It's just me, which has a lot of pros, but also, it's challenging as well. But like, dude, now I can't just like, I can't just wait, I have no job. Some people will be like, all right, dude, I'm gonna wake up at 9, 10 a.m. or 11 or in the middle of the day or later, really. Dude, I can't do that anymore. Dude, if 9 o'clock comes and I haven't said anything, my team is like, where are you? Oh my God. Yeah, dude, like, because I got to be prepared for them every day. I can't just have them just, being like, oh, what are we doing or whatever. So like I'm up early and now I gotta be like prepared and like ready and prepared for them now. Like, I got a team, so stuff like that, man, it's key.
That's insane. Yeah. So man, like how was it, or especially I know, sometimes VAs are in like different parts of the world and stuff like that. Is there like a time difference there? Like with the ones that you hired?
Yeah, man, for sure. And it's crazy because like with them, I'm spending so much time with them. I get to learn so much about their culture, certain things about their economy and whatnot. But yeah, there's a time difference. Like, so, I typically start working around maybe 8 or 8:30 a.m. Right. And so that's 8 a.m. here is their 9 p.m. And so, and I'll work with them all the way up to maybe my 5 o'clock, or they'll be cold calling up until 8 p.m. here when, people get off of work and whatever, which is around their 9 a.m. And so they're working through the night and everything. And I remember asking them like, and saying like, hey, or asking my admin, like, hey, during an interview process, like, are these hours good with you and whatever? And she told me like, hey, like, in this culture, her and everyone, a lot of people that she knows, they're super used to working overnight and like working through the mornings and whatnot. And it was a big thing in their culture. And then I started asking around and all the VAs were saying the same thing. And it's like, okay, interesting. And so most of our friend group is actually kind of like that and their kind of culture. So I'm like, okay, cool. And I remember asking all the questions. I'm like, okay, so when do you sleep? Like, oh, how do you feed the kid? And they got all figured out systems in place and everything. Oh, my family helps here. This. I'll sleep during this, and then I'm able to wake up and she'll cook and all this stuff. Like, so, like, yeah, man, all of these things. Like, there is a time difference, but they're more than happy to they're super flexible on the hours. And then on top of that too, like some jobs, you may have tasks for them where they don't have to do it during a certain time or whatever, and you can just they can get it done on the weekends or after hours, whenever. So sure, administrative tasks. So yeah, man, all that stuff's dope.
That's super cool, man. The hiring a virtual assistant is definitely a game changer, man.
How's it been for you? It's
been really, really good. I absolutely love my guy Christian. He's probably gonna see this because he's editing this.
Christian. You know.
But yeah, no, it's been absolutely insane, man. And like we'll like work stuff out together, and like I'm super open to having him like give ideas and stuff like that. And like it's more of just like someone to work with than like a employee employer, kind of relationship. Like I like to just kind of keep it like, all right, man, like we're a team, like, like I'm not like your boss. Like I'm paying you and stuff, like, per episode and everything. But like I want us to be like, like boys kind of, you know what I mean? And
right. That's right.
Yeah, it's been going really well, man. It's been an absolute game changer, and
Absolutely.
because
Absolutely.
I like I don't know why I waited this long, man. Like after I hired Christian for the first time, and having that first week where like we were still figuring things out, and he edited the podcast and scheduled it, like a week in advance and stuff, and
Yeah.
it was all done. I just looked on a couple apps and it was already ready to go. It was just one of those moments, man. I'm like, wow, the power is unreal. It's it's a super mutual thing, and everybody's winning. I pay him well and everything, and it's a really good thing, man. And especially for scalability, and he's in the Philippines. So
Yeah.
I totally feel what you're saying, with the time difference. I went in
Absolutely.
my phone and onto the clock app, and I
Yeah.
put in Manila in the Philippines next to my time, because I tried pulling up a time zone
Yeah.
calculator thing. I'm trying to see AM. So it's actually yesterday for him, but it's
Yeah.
today.
All that. Yeah. 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 Funny, man. Yeah. My team is all in the Philippines as well. And they're in the Philippines, and man, I mean, I couldn't even tell you about the amazing stuff that they've done for me. I mean,
It's unreal. It's
so,
crazy.
so many things. And they do it with so much respect and so much joy as well. And it's just crazy. I mean, the list is ongoing every single day. There's stuff, and I'm just like, man, wow. Or you know what, even too, there'll be a bunch of headaches that might pop out, and my admin and phenomenal will go ahead and she'll take care of everything. Even for example, I have a flight tomorrow, and during that flight, I think, what is it? I've been locked out of my email. And so I don't have my flight confirmation number and all these things. And so long story short, she was somehow able to say, oh, don't worry. I'll call, the airline. I was like, yeah, it's Delta. She's like, I'll figure it all out, whatever. And she just boom, boom, boom. And then she came with my flight information, this, all these things. And I'm like, oh my God.
Damn.
She was on the phone with them, all these things. I mean, and she's just a beast, man. And so it's just great to have, man. I can, and they mean everything to me. I just couldn't do. Oh my God, there's no way I could run it without them. The way I'd be like a chicken with my head cut off at this point. So super grateful.
Yeah. It's unreal, man. You know what I mean? And even, to dig a little bit deeper again is having these tasks and stuff that you were doing before, to get done, and you free up your time and stuff past that, the skills that you're learning, about delegating things out, and finding and vetting, people to work with, and figuring out time zones, and what hours work good and what don't, and making sure they're happy, and their well-being, those skills are absolutely unreal. And especially, while we're this young, if you can pick up that kind of stuff, and the amount of growth there is just absolutely insane.
Absolutely.
And it's I feel everybody's just growing, man. You know what I mean?
Dude, it's amazing. I actually, was talking about my VA, and over time, one of my friends, not in the real estate business. Well, he's actually young. He's in his 20s and has a 3-family in Worcester, which is great. But his main focus now is on Turo, and which is that car rental business and stuff, and stuff like that. And so, but he wanted to hire a VA, and I told him dude, more rewarding than just the tasks that they do and the freeing up time. More rewarding than that is ultimately the mindset that you're developing now, and the skills that you're delegating, and so that's an actual skill. I did not know. No one told. They don't say that in the book, oh, you got to learn how to delegate comes with dude, you can have
They
your
don't
VA
tell you that, man.
they don't, dude. You can have your VA running around in circles, doing this, or or you can have them doing the most phenomenal things, but just kind of, I mean, man, there's so many things into getting to know the VA, knowing their skill sets, testing their skill sets, seeing their strengths, seeing their weaknesses, doubling down on some, less on others, all these kind of things. Man, it's a skill, man. The first, now as I'm bringing on more VAs and whatnot, it's like, oh, okay, this is, I can streamline this a little bit. But in the beginning, I remember, and if Ann's watching, because Ann might be watching my
Hi,
team.
Ann.
Right? What's up, Ann? Right? And so, but in the beginning, I was just like, hey, all right, we're just gonna be here on Zoom for like 40 hours. When it wasn't 40, but maybe for many hours of the day. And we're just gonna just watch me do the stuff, and like, okay, good. And that's kind of what it was in the beginning. I'm like, oh, this is how I do this. This is how I do this. Now over time, we have systems where now I can go the whole day without seeing her, because now she knows how to make sure the business keeps running, so I can continue to make calls and do everything else I need to do.
Yeah, it's an unreal skill, like especially in entrepreneurship, man. And like, like that's something that, like we were talking earlier, like, we have no idea where we're going to be in 5 years. Like you're learning these skills now, man. And like really starting to fine tune this stuff and like really, like get in there. Like you're going to be able to take these skills like to, another project or like another business or something. Be like, dude, like, once it hits this point, like I got to write up these, processes, and like, I'll do this for a little bit and feel it out. And like, this is how, like, this is when we should hire this person. Like, this is kind of the structure. Like, you already have like a huge backbone, like built, for like that you can use like over and over. And like, the more you keep going and keep doing it, like, the stronger it's going to be.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. So I look forward to just building out the process, because the process is what it's about, man.
It is. The process is everything. You're right. And like that's something that's nuts, man, is like, that's something that they definitely like don't really tell you, it's like eventually like, everybody's got the same 24 hours, but how come like this person is like 10 times more ahead of this person, but like we have the same amount of time, it just eventually like you find a point where, like you're bottlenecked and everything. And it's like, oh, well, like, what can I do? Like, how do I like get my time back? Or like, how do I get to this next thing? Like, I don't have time for that anymore. It's, it kind of like puts you in a corner, I guess you could say, like you could either like make a choice on like one thing or another, or you can find, how to potentially use like somebody else's skills and time, to be able to do that and still have that, and then still go off in your other direction and have both. All right, guys, that concludes our Creating Wealth podcast episode for today. I want to thank every single person that has listened this far. It really means a lot to know that people can learn from me and with me as we build wealth together. Hopefully you could take home at least one thing from this podcast that will improve your life just a little bit. If you could, please check me out on social. That's at Kyle Curtin Real Estate on Instagram, Facebook, and I'm on Biggerpockets. Until next time, let's build together.